Billionaire. They are the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1%. They live in $100 million penthouses. They fly only on private jets. They vacation on floating palaces. And they have all the glitz, glamour, fame, power, and privilege anyone could imagine. Thanks to the internet and social media, billionaires come under more scrutiny and are subject to more envy and also more admiration than previous generations of the wealthy or the rich ever were. But what if you could actually learn something from billionaires? What if it wasn't just about vicarious fantasy? What if by some stroke of luck, you were given the opportunity to have a billionaire mentor for 1 week? What would they try to teach you? What lessons would they share? What billionaire values would they try to instill in you that you could apply to your life directly? Welcome to the greatness, and a very special welcome, because this is our very first episode, our maiden voyage. At the greatness, our goal is to decode the alchemy of achievement in a way that both inspires and can be applied directly to your life. Our motto here at the greatness is hero emulation, not hero worship. We firmly believe that anything you admire or anything you envy, you should study and learn how to emulate it. And while this first topic is wealth accumulation, we will study achievement in all its forms, no matter how small or large. Before we dive into this episode's topic, we need to establish a clear understanding and definition of the word achievement itself. All achievement, no matter how small or large, no matter how brief or long term, consists of 3 fundamental elements. These elements are desire, vision, and action. Whenever and wherever you see these 3 stars, whether it be on our apparel or in any of our branding, this is their meaning. The 3 stars give birth to each other in a cycle that continues until either the goal is achieved or the energy exhausted. But as powerful and fundamental as the 3 stars may be, they are in fact dependent upon an even deeper, more powerful force. That force is values. Values are the filter, the fire, and the fluid in which our desire, our visions, and our actions are structured and, in the best case scenarios, transformed. Values, more than anything, result in action. This subtle difference is what separates values from mere ideas. We can have 1,000 different ideas about how things should be, but it is when we truly value something that we act upon it and make sure it is. And one more piece of housekeeping before we dive into today's topic. Because there is actually a wide variety of billionaires, we've decided to restrict the possible range of subjects for the series Billionaire Values only to those engaged and self-made in the areas of commerce, business, and private enterprise. That means no athletes, no entertainers, and no heirs. This means no Taylor Swifts, no Michael Jordans, no Steven Spielbergs, no George Lucases, and no Walmart Sam Walton heirs. Be sure to check out our very stylish merch. Link in the description. Now, Let's dive into our first case study. The wealthiest person on the planet, the emperor of luxury, Bernard Arnault. Arnault's career began working for and eventually running his family's engineering firm. Although he enjoyed success running the family business, even from an early age, he had an instinct, a desire for much bigger things. Beginning with his 1984 acquisition of the company that owned legendary fashion house Christian Dior, and continuing only a few years later to his most important and controversial acquisition of the Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy Group, Arnault continued acquiring luxury brand after luxury brand for the next 40 years. Today, LVMH has 75 distinct brands, or maisons as they are called, under its umbrella. But simply having the most brands under one roof was never Arnault's ambition. Arnault's goal was to build the best luxury companies, not just the biggest. And it just so happens that wanting to be the best works hand in hand with the idea of luxury. Today, LVMH is not only the biggest luxury goods corporation, but it is also the most profitable and arguably the most desired and envied. These outcomes are the direct result of Arnault's virtuoso executive performance, a performance that the corporate world has not seen since the legendary General Motors chairman and CEO Alfred Sloan in the 1920s, 30s, and early 40s. It is in this virtuoso executive ability that we will extract and uncover and decode the alchemy of Arnault's achievements. It is here that we will find the billionaire values that Arnault would teach you if you were his student for a week. It is not clear exactly when Arnault conceived of his grand vision of creating a luxury conglomerate. What is clear is that by the end of his American sojourn in the early 1980s, Arnault not only had the vision of creating a luxury empire, but he had learned through his exposure to the leveraged buyout craze that was sweeping Wall Street and corporate America. He now had the means to achieve his vision. But how do we know he truly valued his vision? We know this because as soon as he had the first opportunity, he put everything on the line to breathe life into his vision. As fortune would have it, the company that owned Christian Dior was forced into bankruptcy. The French government had taken control of the beleaguered company and was looking for a buyer. By this time, Arnault had returned to France and found a banker who was as bold and unconventional, and who also, most importantly, believed in Arnault's vision. The French government was asking $80 million for the deal. Arnault had $20 million in his own family fortune. He needed another $60 million from his banker. Arnault didn't hesitate to put down his $20 million family fortune for the deal. When you're ready to invest everything, or almost everything, without any hesitation into the realization and attainment of your vision, that is when you know you truly value your vision. For something to truly be a vision, and it's the same for something to be a true desire, it must force you to stretch. It must push you. It must require you to stretch beyond whatever you thought your current capacity or your current state of being is in order to attain the goal or the achievement. These are the differences between things that are simple wishful thinking, fantasies, daydreams, infatuations, or even hobbies. Things that are true desires, things that are true visions, things that are true values, always require action. They always require stretching beyond what our current capacity is. And they always require a full commitment, a full investment of our resources in order to attain the goal. This is where the transformative power of achievement kicks in, and why it separates true achievement from mere wishful thinking. To be clear, there shouldn't be too many things in life that require this level of investment or this level of commitment, simply because there shouldn't be too many things in life that offer this level of return on investment. For Arnault, it was a very easy decision to put everything on the line to acquire Christian Dior, simply because Christian Dior would be an irreplaceable, inimitable part, a cornerstone of building his luxury empire. There were very few other brands that could compete or compare. As an exercise, it would be interesting to reflect on the various activities you've been involved in life, whether they involved other people or were your individual desires and initiatives, and whether or not you were prepared to invest 110%, whether or not you were prepared to put everything on the line to achieve the goal, to attain the vision, to manifest the idea. The basic mechanism of a leveraged buyout is destructive. First, you take control of a company with money that is not yours. Then you divide that company into its basic elements and sell them off. Along the way, there's often a great deal of disruption and chaos to employees, first and foremost, and the marketplace in general, because companies are forced to take on more debt to protect themselves from the possibility of a leveraged buyout. It is because of this disruptive, often destructive process that LBO practitioners were often villainized by the media and the public in general. But if we dig a little deeper into the more esoteric, philosophical, if you will, principles and practices of the leveraged buyout, the true aim of an LBO was to release the asset potential of a particular corporation that was laying dormant because of prior acquisitions that were no longer profitable. And in the case of Arnault, we see the leveraged buyout practiced at perhaps its highest level, where he truly extracts and unlocks the value of an asset that was previously not only untapped, but impossible to attain its true value in the current structure within which it was encased. Since that first acquisition of Dior, unlocking the value of an asset has been the guiding principle, the fundamental operating value, you could call it, of Arnault's expansion. It's quite clear that Arnault has put together a very sophisticated calculus that he uses when evaluating a potential acquisition. What's also clear is that the fundamentals that he follows when considering a company or an asset are actually quite simple. Number one is heritage. That is to say, luxury heritage of a particular brand. Number two, and a very close number two, is a very strong brand identity. And number three is the untapped potential of the brand, of the asset. The ability to estimate the growth potential of an existing luxury brand would have to be considered an art form. And Arnault would have to be considered a virtuoso of this art, as proven by LVMH's relentless growth and profitability over the decades. But if we take unlocking the potential as a value, as an overarching principle that can be applied universally, how differently would we view Arnault's acquisitions and growth? If we viewed Arnault's acquisitions as organic, creative processes, not simple financial transactions, how differently would we then view our own personal, untapped potential? How differently would we view our ability to unlock our own value? And if we took the leveraged buyout metaphor and combined it with the precious gemstones and jewelry metaphor, which is not coincidentally playing in the foreground, how much deeper an understanding would we have of our own untapped potential? None of the gems in these videos on these models looked like that when they were in the ground. Each one of them took hours of painstaking attention to detail and skill to cultivate and unlock the inner beauty, the inner value. So as an exercise, I invite you to reflect on your own untapped potential and also consider ways in which you can unlock it. What would it require? How could you extract it, polish it, and make it shine? Arnault is able to say that he is only restricted by the limits of his long-term vision because he was prepared for opportunity. Arnault's first two leveraged buyouts were without a doubt the most controversial and consequential of his entire career. The Dior purchase was very significant because it established him as a player in the luxury game. Without the Dior deal under his belt, Arnault would not have had the reputation nor the resources necessary to execute the much larger, much more controversial, and much more impactful purchase of Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. Both deals were possible because Arnault prepared for opportunities. Between the two deals, the impact and effect of his preparation for opportunity was far more powerful in the LVMH deal than in the Dior. In fact, it could be argued that without his prior preparation, the LVMH deal would not have happened at all. In the LVMH deal, Arnault had been brought in as the decidedly junior understudy of the much older, more experienced and successful executives in charge of Louis Vuitton, and Moet Hennessy. LVMH as a merger had only taken place recently. It was an act of self-protection and preservation by both Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy, as they thought that they could merge their enterprises together and make themselves too large to be bought out. The Louis Vuitton CEO at the time thought Arnault would be the perfect, safe, junior shareholder. In exchange for his investment, the Louis Vuitton CEO promised to sell Arnault the Dior fragrance business, which had been split years ago from the Dior fashion business. And Arnault was keen to reunite the two. It didn't take long, however, before divisions began to form in this shotgun wedding between Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy. When the Moet Hennessy CEO Chevalier attempted to bring in Guinnessy as yet another security partner, Louis Vuitton CEO Racamier began to think of ways and reasons to end the partnership as a whole. He suggested even splitting the companies back to their original divisions and going his own way. It was at this point that Arnault had a decision to make. He could remain the junior partner with Racamier and Louis Vuitton, or he could seize the opportunity presented itself to take control of both companies at once. It was only because of his preparation in the previous 3 years, through spinning off the Christian Dior assets and turning Dior into a money-making, profitable venture, that he was able to consider option B. When Arnault increased his stake in the joint venture of LVMH in a way that was clearly more than just a junior partner, the reaction from the Louis Vuitton CEO was swift. He immediately began recruiting the Louis Vuitton family themselves to purchase outstanding shares at such a pace and at such a degree that they would gain controlling interest before Arnault had a chance to make another move. Or so Racamier thought. Because he was prepared for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Arnault immediately purchased another $600 million in outstanding shares of LVMH. This purchase gave him unchallenged control of the company and laid the second cornerstone in his empire-building vision. All because he was prepared for the opportunity. We've all heard the phrase or the advice that it's important to have a rainy day fund. But when have we ever heard anyone say it's important to have an opportunity fund? The difference in mentality and worldview between the two perspectives is striking. But let's be clear, it is only a change of mentality, of mental approach to the world. It is the difference between thinking in terms of scarcity and thinking in terms of enterprise. But one doesn't have to be performing billion-dollar leveraged buyouts to reap the benefits of being prepared for opportunity. Change is constant. And wherever there is change, there's usually an opportunity. Whether or not we are able to take advantage of that opportunity often comes down to whether or not we have prepared for that opportunity. As an exercise, think about all the times in life when you would have made different choices and taken advantage of different opportunities had you been prepared. This preparation could be financial, it could be academic or skill-based, or it could simply be having the situational awareness to know when an opportunity arises and then taking advantage of it. We could spend hours learning from and exploring the executive virtuosity and the billionaire values of Bernard Arnault. But in the name of time, and for the sake of future episodes, we must bring our maiden voyage to a close. We thank you very much for your time and hope that we have contributed something of value and, if possible, expanded your ideas and your consciousness about the possibilities of yourself and life as a whole. For those interested in a more in-depth executive managerial analysis of Arnault, particularly for those in leadership positions, we will explore those topics in detail in the members section. Be sure to let us know in the comments what you think of Arnault's achievements, as well as his billionaire values. Are they practical? Could they be applied to your life? Let us know. Also, let us know in the comments what future case studies you would like to see examined through the lens of the alchemy of achievement. And be sure to check out our stylish merch. Links in the description. Thanks again, and have a great one.